Well, now to Tom Nelson, Fund Manager at Guinness Asset Management. He helps to manage the Guinness Global Energy Fund, which holds BP shares. Welcome back. Good to see you today.
Thank you.
We just heard a lot of talk there about those clean-up costs. They're obviously going to cost BP an awful lot of money.
Yep.
If they're not grossly negligent, which we don't know yet, they will be able to pass some of those costs on. How important will that be for BP?
I think it's very important for BP. It's difficult to ascertain at this stage, or to try and come up with a rational understanding of whether or not it'll be negligence or gross negligence. Either way, the clean-up costs and the fines and everything else are going to be very, very meaningful. We have talked quite closely with Anadarko, who are one of the other partners on the well. They, of course, are adamant that it is gross negligence. I think,
and therefore they're not to blame, right?
Exactly. So too early to say. My instinct is that they will not be found. It will not be gross negligence. It will be negligence. In terms of, for example, the Clean Water Act costs, that's a difference of $1,100 per barrel for negligence versus $4,300 for gross negligence. So it's potentially $4 billion for the water clean-up versus 14 or 15.
Wow. Now, yesterday, the chairman, when he announced that Bob Dudley was going to be taking over, also said that he would have the ability to sort of, create his own team around him. How important do you think it's going to be that, as an American himself, he changes the culture, and do you expect to see a lot more changes?
I think it is hugely important. I think Bob Dudley is absolutely the right man to be coming in at this stage. I think he has three very distinct things in his favour. He has presided over the Gulf of Mexico clean-up response for the last 6 or 8 weeks, which has been the most fruitful and successful part of the clean-up. He's American, which obviously at this stage it's a very American crisis. And also he has shown himself to be very politically astute in his dealings with the Russian shareholders and the Russian partners in TNK-BP. As to the team he brings in around him, yes, it will be very important to get that right, but it seems an absolutely appropriate moment in BP's history to have an American taking over at the top.
Now, looking at the asset sales, that was a number that was larger than some people were expecting to see yesterday. What's your take on that? And also, just talk us through the difference that the crude oil price might have on those sales.
Well, we were surprised to see 30 billion as the number touted for total asset sales. But I think on closer inspection, it's a number that does make sense. It's clearly quite a good time to be selling assets, as demonstrated by the figure that BP managed to achieve for the... They sold about 350 million barrels of proven to Apache, raised 7 billion. So that's around about $20 per barrel of proven. We see the Korean National Oil Company circling Dana Petroleum. So it is an active market in asset sales. So it could just be that with oil around $75, with natural gas in the US beginning to improve, it could be rather an astute moment for BP to be selling down some assets. I personally think that selling 30 billion will prove to be more than they need to sell, but given the uncertainty of the clean-up costs and the litigation and the fines, it's certainly correct to err on the side of caution and conservatism.
Just very briefly, and at the moment the share price seems a little bit range-bound. What do we need to see to push it forward? Is it the wells?
I think the success of the relief well is absolutely what the market is waiting for. I think Dudley's appointment will turn out to be a positive for the stock because sentiment in the US will improve. But yes, the success of the relief well in the short term will be the big catalyst for this stock.
Okay. Tom Nelson, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.